We wanted to explore other corners of the DC universe, but not in a way that you've seen before.
Welcome to Shambhala.
Don't get a lot of strangers passing through.
What I wanted to do was a Western, and I always wanted to do a Conan sword and sorcery story and 50s sci-fi with a twist of Twilight Zone.
Anyone acting odd may not be who they say they are, man.
The most exciting part was just being able to touch on these things that I was a huge fan of when I was a kid.
It's fun seeing all these familiar characters in other genres.
What it does as a framework is provide you an opportunity to see Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman in a whole new light.
I apologize for my men. They can be rough around the edges. But then again, so's the town.
I have to give Ernie Altbacker credit. My thought was, oh, it'll be Batman in the Old West.
Why are you mixing in this?
I'm not. Just passing through.
It was Ernie's idea to switch them up a little, and so that's how Wonder Woman ended up in the Old West.
Wonder Woman being in the Western, it's the opposite of what you naturally think of the Western character or anti-hero.
I know it's hard. Now you got to be brave.
Plus, she had a lasso or lariat, so that fits perfectly within the Western context.
She's the woman with no name.
It was pretty easy to put her in the duster. Otto Schmidt, one of our character designers, he started putting in some of the emblems that are still part of Wonder Woman's costume, but fitted them in on her leather gear and everything. And the minute I saw it, it was like, well, yeah, that's it. We were looking at what possible villains from the Western version of the DC Universe. We figured Jonah Hex.
I've had a think, and it may just be easier to kill you all.
There's a storied history of Old West characters and settings in DC Comics. We saw a lot of them come around in the 1970s. Characters like Jonah Hex.
Nothing's over until I say.
A very classic Western character, an outlaw. Very recognizable because of the very obvious scars on his face.
How'd you get the face?
By trusting the wrong people.
Our designers really went to town. It just looks like real spaghetti Western. So heightened.
She's an angel, come to save us all.
One of the spaghetti Western things is the slowly growing tension through the story. Letting all these things that are about to come together at the same time was really fun.
Eat lead.
What can you tell us about this wizard? His fortress?
Not much. I could take you to his castle. Beyond that, you're the ones intent on dying.
I read Warlord since I was probably a teenager.
It's just a fun but violent world.
I always wanted to do Warlord as a cartoon, which would have been a hard sell, but now putting it in context with this whole storyline, it works for us.
It's best to wait for night.
Night? You know as well as I the sun shines forever on Skartaris.
Warlord is a terrific sword and sorcery character in DC canon. His story is a story of survival in some of the most barbaric of circumstances. It's a world of magic and technology where history and prehistory clash.
You're trying to create that violent, brutal world, and then how would Batman react to living in that world?
Something funny, slave?
Mercenary. There is a difference.
He's the Batbarian. He's a little bit like Conan the Barbarian or any of those classic barbarian characters.
Help us out of here. We can still kill the wizard and save Skartaris.
No. I want no part of your quest.
We wanted to design a barbarian-looking Batman, which requires the cowl, which would end up being a steel helmet. And the reason to lose the helmet eventually is because you can't stay Batman the whole time.
Do you think so?
The problem with Batman is you can't see his eyes and you can't see his reactions. With this, we get to see his face and we get to see what he's thinking.
Ugly one, aren't you?
Agent Kent, main office sent me.
They really threw you in the deep end with your first assignment, huh?
The inspiration originally for the black and white was because we wanted to do 50s sci-fi. Majority of those are in black and white.
The alien might be in this room.
It could have changed its shape. Look like one of us.
Agent Clark Kent lives in a black and white world where you're either, ironically, a red, or you're red, white, and blue. But that's all black and white because you're either good or evil.
If I were you, I'd look to anyone who seems different, foreign, strange.
Un-American.
The full-on, fully evolved, 100% Man of Steel has a confidence and a bravado, and we have to make sure that's separate from a less confident, unsure Superman when he's Agent Kent, unaware of his abilities as Superman.
You all right there, son?
Just dandy, sir.
Faraday's a 50s character from the DC comics, and I always knew him as an FBI agent, but his whole point of being there was to be the iconoclastic American 50s authority figure.
Are you ready to uphold truth, justice, and the American way, no matter what?
Yes, sir.
Faraday is a character that premiered in the 1950s. He's a U.S. government agent. He's a G-man. He has worked with organizations like Checkmate and Task Force X and Argus, and pretty much anywhere there is a possibly shady government organization.
Don't take a step further. Kent, back away from them.
Building the tension and then having people be paranoid through that and having it mirror the Red Scare was a really strong way to build into the very end of the movie.
We've got one shot. Make it good.
You don't get to play in 3 different worlds like this very often when you do this stuff.
These are the last 3 genres that I haven't been able to use yet in animation. I'm just trying to finish off with a 30-year career of trying to get everything done before I head out to the sunset.